Hi everybody, this is Howard Teaserking coming to you with, what is this, week 16 of the NFL. Unbelievable. I always get depressed when we hit week 18 because I can't believe it's over already. Now this week, last week I hammered it. Just pounded it, hit 4 locks. Locks are now up to 45-4 with the other half of my 50-unit lock going on it's one of the playoff games. So that's not even here yet. That's another lock that I've already put out. One thing you'll notice, my college bowls, I'll see a game that I like, and I'll put it out now, even though the game isn't till New Year's or after, and then as it gets to the end and I mark my results, wins and losses, I'm deleting it from the week it's in because it's too early, it hasn't been played, and then I move it to the following week. So as you're purchasing the bowls, as the people are buying it, they'll see the play, so they can play it now. I want them to play it now, but each week I drag it into the next week, so I delete it. So it's not in the results because the game hasn't played, but you get it the following week because I want you to bet it now because I see that it's a good bet. So when I look at it, I have right now I got one huge 35-unit lock going this week. I really don't see many other games that I want to lock. I see some games I could lock, and I just don't feel it. Most of my locks are basically related to my feel. It's looking at the game, looking at the point spread, and I feel it, and I go, nah, that's for sure. That's a lock. That's going to happen. Could have been like last week, Carolina and the Giants. I nailed the game dead on. What did I say? Careful, the Giants play well at home. They'll find a way to keep it close. But I love the over in the game because Giants can't stop the win. Carolina puts up 30 a game. Giants can score. It's exactly what happened. We had the over by the third quarter. It was already over. So I saw that game, and instead of fighting with taking Carolina, I couldn't take the Giants because you can't bet against Carolina this year. But instead of taking Carolina should have won easy, 35-7. But the Giants roared back. But at the end of the day, they scored 73 points. The over-under was 47. I think I needed 41 or 42 points. So I need something in the 40s, and they're in the 70s. That's why it's a lock. So it doesn't matter if it's over or under. And I've been very successful in my over-under locks this year in pros. I've hit them all, I believe. But I'm not doing I can't really find a good over-under this week. It's really frustrating. Let's talk quickly about that. Well, first I want to get to the meat and potatoes. Who needs the game and who doesn't? Now we're down to the playoff crunch of who needs it. And I talked about that last week, so we'll review it. In the NFC, you're really down to 5 teams. You've got Carolina, which I love, still needs the game for the 1 seed. Arizona is playing Green Bay, which is really hard because they're really playing for the 2 seed. But because if Arizona was playing Frisco, this would be a lock. But they're not. They're playing Green Bay, so you can't get all excited that Arizona's going to beat Green Bay. But the game's in Arizona, so you can't get all excited that you take Green Bay as the dog and go, I'll take Green Bay in 10. They're going to keep it close because you can't mess with Arizona. So that's kind of a game that's difficult. The third team is Minnesota. They pretty much have the wild card. And they're hosting the Giants. Now, again, the Giants technically need the game. But if Beckham is out, and I'm waiting to hear that for sure, I believe he will be. But I know they are going to look at it, but he should have been thrown out of the game last week, which would have killed my over possibly, but I think the Giants still would have found a way to score. But my point was, if Beckham's out, I think I like Minnesota there. But I don't love them because, again, they're playing the Giants who need the game. I got strong playing strong. In the last game, Seattle is the 5th, and they're playing at home against St. Louis, and they're laying 13. And my question to myself is, do they need the game? Are they already in? They're not going to catch Arizona. Arizona's already locked the division. They're going to be a wild card, so they're going to be on the road. And I don't know that they need the game. Not that they won't play, but it's different. Go back to Art of War. When your back's against the wall, you play your best. I don't know. Their back's not against the wall. They're in. Do they rest people? Are they going to be as intense? The Rams are not that bad. That spread's really high. That spread tells me they need the game, and they don't. So what if they go 11-5? They can't. Arizona's already 12, so they can't win the division. Does it matter if they're ahead of Minnesota in the wild card, which they already are? But does that give them a better seeding? I mean, I'm not seeing that. And the last one is going to be this Washington-Philadelphia game. It looks like pretty much the winner is going to get into the playoffs. So that's really your 6th team. But basically, Carolina needs it for the 1 seed. Arizona needs it, but they're playing Green Bay, who needs it, which neutralizes it. And so is playing the Giants, which kind of neutralizes it. See, last week I had Seattle playing Cleveland. I had New England playing Tennessee. I had strong versus weak. I could jump on it. Had 4 locks going. This week it's a little bit different. I've got matchup versus matchup that makes it hard. In the AFC, you've got New England needing the game for the 1 seed, but they're playing the Jets, who need it for the wild card. Pittsburgh against Baltimore. This is a situation where Pitt doesn't play very well in Baltimore. This trend actually is, the dog in this series is 20-4. Pitt 7-1 is the favorite. The favorite's 6-1 here. Baltimore is 9-1. The dog's 12-1. But again, you don't have Flacco, so you've got to kind of put the trend in realistic. Pitt needs the game. Even with the win, they're still not in the wild card, depending on what happens in the other games. So let's see. So you got New England looking for the 1 seed, Cincy looking for the 2, but who do they play? Denver. It's like Arizona, Green Bay. Now you got good, strong versus strong, which is tough. Both quarterbacks are out, although I don't know if Manning's out or not. He's trying to practice. I don't know how strong he'll be if he does play. But if out without Manning, probably play the dog. Pitt and Baltimore. The Jets need it. Kansas City needs it. The Jets again are playing New England. And then you got Houston and Indy. Like, Houston's actually getting 4 from Tennessee because their quarterback's out. If it ends up where Tennessee's 4.5 over Houston and anybody's at quarterback, you take Houston in that one. Tennessee's terrible. But with that said, that's the problem with this week's games. You got Green Bay, Arizona. Now, let's look at Green Bay, Arizona. Do you play the dog or do you play the favorite? Do you play over-under? I got an over-under of 49. Arizona scores 30, 40 points a game. Green Bay used to score a lot, doesn't score a lot. I mean, they played the Lions, I think it was 1916. They played the Bears Thanksgiving. Neither team got to 20. Granted, it rained, but still. I don't know. When I was a kid and it rained, it would help the offense because they knew where they were going and the defense would slip. So I don't really understand why the rain is making these games under. I mean, again, this is the problem with this week. Of what should be an easy over, Green Bay and Arizona, you got a Green Bay team that really can't pass, is now trying to run, is now trying to play under ball. Arizona scores a lot on turnovers. Honey Badger being hurt doesn't help because that helps Green Bay, but Green Bay can't really take advantage because even though they got Aaron Rodgers, they don't have anybody who can catch the ball. So it turns into where it could be a low-scoring game, it could be a high-scoring game. I don't like Green Bay in 10.5 here. The only way I can possibly go is mostly Arizona plus 1.5, which I hate against the Green Bay team, or over 49 down to 43. 43 is 23-20. Are they really not going to score 20 points apiece? Because what happens in these playoff games, you start doing more offensively. Like you're down, you start going for it on fourth down. You start throwing more. You're not running the ball as much. I can easily see this game probably going more over. But Arizona is a huge trend as a home favorite. When I look at the Arizona home favorite, they're 14-1 the last 15 as a home favorite. Green Bay is not that strong of a road dog. They're 7-2 against. So with that trend, I like Arizona plus 1.5. I don't think Green Bay is as strong on the road. They're not as strong as a dog. But at the end of the day, I like Arizona in 1.5 and the over of 43. Judging that if Green Bay can't score 20 points, and I know they barely did against Denver, I just don't see that. I'm going to give you a strange game here. Philadelphia laying 3 to Washington. I never talk about Philly and Washington. They're so inconsistent. But I do have to talk about this game. Here's the trend. Washington is the dog, 12-3 in the series, the last 15 games. Washington in the dog, 8-2 the last 10 in Philadelphia. I looked at the last 5 or 6 scores. Every game's been decided by 3 points or less. Take Washington in the 9 here. It's a playoff game. Normally in a playoff game, I like the dog in this type of situation. Philadelphia, I don't think it's very good. Washington's playing well. They're kind of a weak road team, but when I looked at who they played, they had to play Carolina and Seattle on the road or something. They played, I think it was New England and Carolina, and they got blown out by each team, which tells me they have trouble against passing teams, but Philly's not really a passing team. They're not really a running team. They're not really an over. They're not really an under. I don't know who they are. I've never seen a team struggle to have an identity. I mean, that's the first thing I pick up. Take Washington in the 9 here, definitely. Minnesota I've talked about. They're laying the 6. If Beckham's out, take Minnesota. If Beckham plays, be careful with the game. Because you just saw the Giants come back from 28 down to Carolina. Now, granted, that was at home. I think Peterson plays, but I think I like Minnesota either way. But if Beckham's out, definitely jump on Minnesota here. Buffalo laying 6 to Dallas. I like Dallas in 12 here. As I've said, you got Kellen Moore, but without Kellen Moore, here's a stat on Dallas. Dallas is 18-3 as a road dog. Buffalo really has no trend as a home favorite. They're not a particularly good home favorite. Dallas is an outstanding road dog. Take Dallas in the 12. Dallas, even though they're not winning, is not getting blown out. I mean, they get blown out by New England. Yeah, everybody does. Carolina, everybody does. Those two teams are way up here, but Buffalo, they're not going to blow out Dallas. And if Kellen Moore is playing, I look for Dallas to win the game straight up. Again, I don't know what to do with the over-under. If Kellen Moore puts up 30 points or not, I don't know. But they're more apt to put up more points with him than any other quarterback. This will be my over if Drew Brees plays. Jacksonville and New Orleans, 2 explosive offenses, 2 teams that still can't find their defense. And this is the rub of this week. Brees hurts his foot against the Lions yesterday. Now, if he plays, and he'll play at 90%, this is a very strong over. Over under 51. You go to 45. This is one of these games that will be over in the third quarter. This is what I'm looking for. 2 over teams with weak defenses. So I had them over on Monday night. You can see in the history. Um, that was an easy over against the Lions. And again, that's what I'm looking for, but it's just nothing's here this week. This is a much harder week. I do have one strong lock. You'll have to go to the site for that one. Lions laying 9 to Frisco. Over under 43. Normally I take Frisco under every week. They're pathetic offensively and a good defense. The Lions could score on them. As I'm looking at the stats, I see the Lions have kind of a weak defense, but they score a lot. Frisco doesn't score at all. It has a decent defense. And the more I'm looking to try to figure out the over-under, the more I've stumbled into liking Detroit laying the 3. If you can find an 8.5, I notice MGM has them at 8.5. Get them under 3 would be very key. Normally I try to stay away from the Lions, but Frisco's just so bad. And I really don't know how to play this game over or under. Detroit's liable to beat them 35 to nothing, which is why I'm now turning to Detroit, because I just say Frisco, good defense, no offense. The Lions, good offense, average defense. I don't see Frisco scoring enough to keep the game close, which by looking at the over-under leads me to the Lions, because I say, well, the Lions could get in the 30s, Frisco get nothing. The Lions could score 20 and Frisco 10, like when the Lions played Oakland, which I thought would have been an over game, ends up 18 to 15 or whatever. So that's what I'm looking at. So very inconsistent with the Lions. You don't know what they're going to do, but Frisco won't be able to keep up. Lions have been playing good as of late. Don't look at the New Orleans game, because New Orleans has no defense, so you got to discount it. So again, take the Lions laying the 2. And we'll talk about one more game. We're going to talk about New England laying 3 to the Jets. Over under 45. My spread, New England -7. Their spread, New England -3. Hard to believe in a game where Tom Brady needs it to take the number 1 seed, lock it up. They're going to lose. You actually are getting 3 points in the game. You should be laying 7 down to 1. Over under 45. I thought about the over in this game also. New England should score. The Jets have been scoring more with Fitzpatrick and Marshall and Decker. They're a pretty good scoring team, even though they have Revis. They do score more. New England, is going to score high 20s to high 30s. That's just what New England does. Question is, can New England stop them, and really put the hammer on them, or are the Jets going to be able to score? So I see the over-under 45. I think it goes over 39. Most of these games have gone over in this series, but I noticed a couple that were 19 to 16s. So hard to say here. But I think I got to bet on Tom Brady for a change. Never do that. New England -3. You get +3 with them. They need it to wrap up number 1 seed. I can't believe Tom Brady doesn't win this game. Even if they lose, you got 3 points. So if you get 3 and you +3 and they lose, they're going to lose by 3. You get a push. Some places push is a win. Depends where you bet it at. Especially if you get a card, you get ties win on the card. I don't see how you lose with New England +3. At worst case, they lose by the field goal. I can't see the Jets blowing them out. I can't see Brady having a bad game here. Gronk's healthy. Amendola's playing. It's a game for the round 1 now. Again, I would lock the game if they weren't playing the Jets. If they were playing Buffalo or Miami. See, now next week that New England plays Miami. Now, if New England needs to win to get the home field advantage because they lose against the Jets, which I'm not saying that's going to happen, then it's a huge lock. Take New England over Miami. Then you've got the huge mismatch. Again, the problem with this week is you got strong playing strong. When strong plays strong, you can't lock it because it just, it would surprise me if the Jets won the game, but the Jets are not a bad team. They're a playoff team. They're a sound team. They need the game. I can't go against Brady in this situation. I can't take the Jets in 9. If it was another team and, not the number 1 seed, not New England, I could take it. And looking back, most of these games are actually very close, but New England's won the last 3 or 4 of them, and I think 5 out of 6. I think the Jets won 1 game out of the last 6. They've been close, but no cigar for the Jets. This is a game for Brady. I got to take New England +3. Again, I can't lock it because it's the Jets, and that's the frustrating part of this week. Very hard to lock. There's one more. The Cincinnati-Denver game. I got to talk about that. I wouldn't be the Teaserking. What do I got here? Denver, home favorite. Don't have anything. Cincinnati, road dog. Don't have anything. So, Denver's a pretty good home favorite, about a 75%. Cincinnati's a good road dog, not a great road dog. Not as good as like a Dallas. I don't think Peyton Manning's playing, but they're trying to practice him. I'd be careful if Peyton Manning's playing. If he's not playing, this is a playoff game. This is for the number 2 seed, for most likely. Denver laying 3.5. I'm not a big A.J. McCarron fan. I think you got to take Cincy in 9.5 here. You can't assume Denver's going to win. Cincy's a very good team. Not a huge McCarron, but he did beat the Niners. So, again, here I like the dog usually in this type of game over the home team. Osweiler doesn't, they had a little bit of some stuff against Denver or against Pitt last week. But at the end of the day, he couldn't come in and win the game, couldn't score in the second half, money time. And if you can't do that in money time, you got to take the dog in this game. Now the over-under is 41, and I'm thinking of under 47 in this game. But I think if Manning doesn't play, I think it's definitely an under game. Because I think what ends up happening is you play it as a playoff game, which is more running, more conservative, more defense. You're not going to take chances. You're going to punt the ball. You're not going for it on 4th unless there's 2 minutes left in the game. Without Manning, take Cincinnati in 9.5 in this game. Again, Seattle, St. Louis, I don't know what to tell anybody. The play is totally Seattle. Seattle's 10-2 the last 12 against St. Louis at home. Favorites 9-1. It's a beautiful play for St. Louis. But again, I don't know. Are they playing? I don't know what they're. I mean, of course they're going to go out and try, but if they've already clinched the wild card, they can't get the division. They can't. They're not playing for the 1 or 2 seed. And 13's a lot of points to give St. Louis. I mean, they're not that bad of a team. They have a fairly good defense. I think maybe you go over in this game. It was a weird trend. All the games in St. Louis went way over. They'd score like in the 60s and 70s. And all the games in Seattle were like 26-7. Seattle would win. So let's put this on the back burner. If we hear Seattle's playing and they need it, they want a better wild card positioning. If they need the game, and by the spread it looks like it, why are they laying the 13 if they don't need the game? So if there's something that you can see where they come out, I know today's Tuesday, and I'm going to Vegas Thursday night, so I can't really do this on Thursday, but if you see this, if all of a sudden Seattle needs, they're saying they need the game, or St. Louis doesn't have a quarterback, take Seattle here. Otherwise, I think you go over 40, just the way Russell Wilson, as far as I know, he'll play. If you hear he's not playing, okay, get on St. Louis, but I don't think the spread would be 13 then. So as long as everything remains normal and Russell Wilson's playing, he's putting up 30 a game. You take it from 40 to over 34. I think Seattle covers it by themselves. The way they've been playing. St. Louis again has a good defense, but when they get at Seattle, Seattle's red hot. And again, if you hear Seattle's playing, take Seattle laying if you can get them under 7. But I don't like that as much as the over here, and really I don't like the game at all because Seattle's kind of clinched, and that luster, that back against the wall is not there. So hard to say there. All right, everybody, I do have a huge lock in the pros and another strong game. Go to www.teaserking.com for those. And the only over I really see is that New Orleans Jacksonville. Everything else is kind of, I don't, maybe New England the Jets probably goes over. Houston, Tennessee probably goes under because neither team has a quarterback. Arizona, Green Bay, I think you have to go over with it if you go over. But Green Bay's just not, they're not as explosive as they've been. So, I don't know. I think there you got to take Arizona. All right, everybody. Well, this is Teaser King. This is Howard. www.teaserking.com. And one thing, be careful listening to these idiots on ESPN talk about the bowl games and they're ranking the bowls and this whole thing. Be careful with them. Most of them have no clue what they're talking about. They're promoting a brand. Like they're saying how Oklahoma should be in the playoff because, well, doesn't the fact they beat Baylor with their third string quarterback and TCU with the second string quarterback kind of hurt Oklahoma? And they're going, oh, no, they still beat them. Bullshit. They beat the third string quarterback of Baylor and the second string quarterback. I mean, they're not beating, and then Oklahoma State, their quarterback goes out. So I'm not seeing Oklahoma there. They did lose to Texas. All right, everybody. Well, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll be in Vegas Thursday night at Caesars if anybody's there. I'll be checking my email if you have any questions, comments. Bowl package, you can have all the bowls, $200. The locks this week are $100. And you can just, if you want, you can get this week's bowls and the NFL for $150. So whatever you want to do with that. All right, everybody, have a great night and a Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. Good luck to everybody. I hope you all win a lot of money. Bye-bye.